This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. More benign content to keep us dumb and stupid. I don't know what's going on, but something is definitely going on. It was like literally a couple days ago, Star Magazine had the royals on their cover with this explosive story. And here we are again today with Star Magazine featuring Meghan Markle. So obviously, there is a campaign push to keep Harry and Meghan in the headlines as a distraction on these major tabloid magazines. To keep this video light, let's indulge and see what this article has to say. Sit back and enjoy some mind-numbing storytelling. Prince Harry and Meghan at their breaking point. With their $100 million Netflix deal dead, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are at odds about how to secure their financial future. Can their marriage survive? Well, let's find out. The article begins. The figures were less than impressive. Back in March, season 1 of Duchess of Sussex's cooking and entertaining series, With Love, Meghan, managed to snag the last spot on Netflix Global Top 10 Shows list with a reported 2.6 million views its first week. But according to Netflix's latest engagement report released on July 17, the show ultimately came in at number 383 for the first half of 2025 with 5.3 million views in total. The figures also revealed that Prince Harry's Polo docuseries, which came out in December, was seen by just 500,000 households in the first 6 months of 2025, ranking at number 3,436 on the streamer's list. 5 days later, far grimmer news emerged for Meghan and her husband. Netflix, multiple outlets reported, decided it won't be renewing the $100 million deal it signed with the pair in 2020, when their contract concludes in September. Netflix made a business decision. It wasn't personal, a source tells Star. But Harry and Meghan need the money. After all, their luxe lifestyle in Montecito, California, includes a mortgage on their $14.6 million estate and 6 figures in taxes. Then, there are the multi-million-dollar security bills they've been paying since the royal family cut them off 5 years ago. The situation, says the source, has become increasingly stressful. As the pair scrambles to figure out their financial future, adds the source, it's taking a toll on their marriage. How it all fell apart. It all went so wrong. There's a feeling that the Sussexes could have done things differently, but they ignored good advice from people who knew better, explains the source. Netflix got what it wanted out of them. Their love story, including why and how they left the royal family, which they chronicled in their first project for the streamer, the 2022 series, Harry and Meghan. It remains Netflix's most watched documentary debut to date. The problem, the source adds, is that after the juicy endeavor, Harry and Meghan didn't have great ideas and their value diminished. Netflix also partnered with Meghan on the April launch of As Ever, her limited product line of fruit spreads, teas, cookies, honey, crepe mix, and flour sprinkles. But according to a July 24 report, her newest offering, a rosé wine that debuted on July 1st with a minimum purchase requirement of 3 bottles for $90, was selling poorly enough that it became yet another nail in the coffin for the Netflix deal. It's far from the first failure. The couple's lucrative Spotify deal, reports at the time described it as worth as much as $20 million, ended prematurely in 2023 after just a single season of Meghan's first podcast, Archetypes. In June, Meghan said her second podcast, Confessions of a Female Flounder, which Lemonada Media debuted in April, wouldn't be back for a second season, at least not yet. She's still hustling season 2 with Love, Meghan is set to debut this fall, and reports have emerged speculating there's interest in signing a first-look deal with Netflix similar to the contract former President Barack Obama and wife Michelle inked after their 2018 $100 million agreement with the company expired. A second insider insisted the Sussex aren't abandoning the small screen, telling a U.S. outlet, "There are more TV projects coming soon with both the Duke and Duchess." Yet Meghan is already looking beyond television. In May, she teased that she hoped to explore the fashion category at a later date, calling it an interesting space for me. That news came after she made headlines in March for imitating social media influencers by launching a Shop My page where followers can purchase items, with the former Suits actress earning a small affiliate fee from a curated collection of style and beauty pieces she recommends. Harry might not be waiting for his wife's hustling to bail them out. On July 12th, royal watchers were shocked to learn that days earlier, reps for King Charles III, 76, and the Sussexes met at a private club in London in what's been described as a secret peace summit, a first step towards rebuilding the king's strained and, for the last 2 years, practically non-existent relationship with his second son. Peace and maybe a path forward. Harry wants to make peace with Charles because his father is gravely ill with cancer and he doesn't know how long he has, says the source. But there's a flip side to this as well. People around Harry are saying he recognizes it would be in his best interest to bridge the gap between him and the royals now, while his father is still alive. It would help him immensely to be back on the royal payroll. The reported $10 million inheritance he received from his late great-grandmother, the Queen Mother, when he turned 40, won't stretch far, not with the kind of lifestyle he and Meghan are leading, adds the source. And the Army veteran used his inheritance from his late mother, Princess Diana, to set up his family's life in America, as he revealed to CBS in 2021. He must be worrying how he's going to provide for his kid, Archie and little Betty. Financial problems are a major factor in divorce because of the stress and conflict they cause, notes the source. Not even Harry and Meghan are immune. Not least because the Duchess of Sussex has made it clear that she has no intention of returning to the royal fold. She has not even set foot in England since Queen Elizabeth II's funeral in 2022. Tellingly, in January, Vanity Fair shared an unconfirmed claim that Meghan's team had previously contacted a publishing house to gauge interest in a book deal about post-divorce life. That never came about because there was no divorce. But when or if Harry and Meghan split, that could be on the table, teases the source, who believes if the couple's 7-year marriage were to end, Meghan would demand a cash payout and to retain her title, as it's part of her brand. This was supposed to be a big, shiny new year for the Sussexes, a season of reinvention led by Meghan's TV series, lifestyle business, and return to social media, as well as Harry's recommitment to a life of service. But as their biggest business deal disintegrates, says the source, it seems they're both looking out for themselves. So what exactly was the point of this article? I mean, there's nothing new that they're telling us. I mean, obviously it's tabloid theater designed to keep the Sussex soap opera alive for at least another week or until the next scandal comes around. So was Meghan actually making a deal? Nope. Not a new one anyway. Just the same old Netflix contract now on life support, dressed up as if their entire marriage depends on it. The real point? In my opinion, I think it's pure distraction. Distraction from the bombshell news about Hillary Clinton and Russiagate, as well as this book that's coming out by Andrew Lowney on Prince Andrew. And I think it's also why we got these really weird photos of Meghan and Harry at the beach, supposedly with Archie, who is taking some sort of surfing lessons, and we're supposed to believe that the child that's rolling around in the sand while all the other kids aren't is supposed to be normal. You know, I think that a lot of what Harry and Meghan do is designed to keep us distracted, to keep us scrutinizing, and to keep us talking about their shit as opposed to the other shit that they don't want people looking at, which is looking into Prince Andrew, which is looking into Harry and Meghan being involved with the 2020 election and censoring Americans. You know, I think it's so important that every video I mention this, just because they want us to forget about it. No, I'm not going to forget about it, and I will not be intimidated to be silenced, okay? Which brings me to the second mind-numbing article that was put out by Australia. It's really interesting that Australia now is coming into the news for online child safety. And here we have this Australian tabloid with Harry on the cover saying the kids aren't safe. I mean, of course they're not going to be safe, especially if you are the one who is calling TMZ to come take pictures of you and your family at the beach with your so-called children. Let's dig into this article now. Harry breaks down over the kids. The devoted dad has shared an emotional statement. The Duke of Sussex's recent return to the active landmines of Angola stirred up an unprecedented well of emotion, as well as replicating his late mother, Princess Diana's minefield walk for the second time. Prince Harry was particularly affected by the plight of the children in the African country who are still at risk of injury or death due to remaining undetected landmines. Harry's fragile feelings were clearly close to the surface when he released a statement after the trip. In it, he reiterated his despair over local children not being safe to live freely. As a father to young children, it breaks my heart to see innocent children still living and playing next to minefields, Harry shared on the Sussex.com website. All of us have a duty to protect children and future generations from the harms of war, both present and past. Let me pause right here. The one thing that I can't stand about these two is the constant virtue signaling, the constant telling us what we have to do as people to live on this earth. Like, we have this duty to keep our children safe. Of course, Harry, we know that, but you're not helping the situation. You just making the statement on your stupid website does not mean that you are any authoritative figure and telling us what we need to do in our lives as our duty. No doubt, Harry's children, Archie and little Betty, were on his mind when he penned the moving words. It's unusual for a royal to show so much emotion, an insider tells New Idea. Usually, it's a case of maintaining a stiff upper lip. Protocol would normally dictate he take a more measured tone. But meeting with the children in Angola, now that he's a dad himself, really touched a nerve in Harry. The visit also roused some complicated feelings in relation to his own family. Harry desperately wants to take his kids to Africa and back home to the UK, but not without adequate security in place, our insider explains. It's such a special place to him, but it would have been a security nightmare. In May, Harry lost his legal challenge to reinstate his security detail if he and his family were to return to the UK. As a result, he has refused to travel to Britain with his wife, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, and their kids, stating it's too dangerous. But with recent events in California where the Sussexes live, such as the catastrophic January wildfires and the violent anti-Trump rallies in June, Harry's continuing to worry that the U.S. isn't as safe as he once thought for his family. Even though he lives in a highly secure gated enclave in Montecito, Harry continues to fret about his family's safety, our source adds. That's why it's no wonder he spoke so emotively about the vulnerable children he encountered in Angola, our source adds. He's beyond grateful that Archie and little Betty can grow up without worrying about their next meal, but the safety of all our children is what keeps him awake at night. It's an emotional time for him. Like, you really can't hate the media enough for going along with this bullshit. Does anybody really believe that Harry is up all night worrying about these children in Africa and these landmines? Get out of here. And then, you have this stupid narrative of Harry not feeling safe because he doesn't have his security when he goes back to the UK and he desperately wants to bring his children back there. Nobody is buying it. The next thing you hear, and they've already started to plant this little seed of, how America is no longer safe. Trump has made it so America is not safe for our children. Watch, we're going to see this little seed start to grow and Harry make his case for going back to the UK, and somehow this reunion with his sick dad, because Pa doesn't have that much time left, that he wants to see his family reconciled as his last wish. Watch. These are the narratives that we're going to start seeing. And all of a sudden, Harry's welcomed back into the fold and, moving forward as if nothing happened. They really want this mind-numbing garbage being pushed out there, and it will be prioritized over the important stuff like the Online Safety Act and what that's doing, as well as the DSA, as well as what Australia is doing, especially their involvement within all of this when it comes to censorship. I think many of you see how clear it is that they don't want people talking about the last 5 years and what they were doing with Archwell and the organizations that they were involved with. Because you notice none of these tabloid magazines that's pushing out the Harry and Meghan garbage ever touch that stuff. They never touch it. And you have to ask yourself this question, why? Could there be also a super injunction around the work that they were doing here in the United States because it's political? I think that could be a possibility. Just my opinion. But yeah, this mind-numbing garbage that's being put out now most likely will get boosted by the algorithm. I would think, because this is what is actually being promoted versus the real serious stuff, otherwise known as the truth. Okay. But what do you guys think? This was just a really light video for your Sunday to just sit back and enjoy and laugh and realize how stupid this is all becoming, Anyhow, definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Such a fraud.